Welcome to my video and my YouTube channel. Today I will show you how I created this idle animation for the new Ratman enemy, Ratman version 2.0. I think he looks awesome. So I built him, I rigged him, and I started making this idle animation. I recorded the whole process of making this animation, and I will now talk over it and kind of explain to you guys what's going on, and I will do everything in real time so you don't miss anything, right? We have all seen these super fast time lapses where no one has any clue about what's going on. I will show you this video in real time and I will talk about it as we watch it together, alright? So here is the new Ratman version 2.0. And I think he looks super badass, and I like the way this guy turned out. There's still some stuff I need to do to make him even more badass. I need stuff for the eyes and ears. I need to rig everything so I can give him some awesome expressions while you are chopping his heads off, right? So, and also guys, I've been sick for the last week or so my voice is a little fucked up, and I'm a little low on energy, so I'm just sitting here leaned back watching this whole recording alongside with you guys, talking about what's going on here. Alright, right now looks like I'm just testing the rig out, see if I have missed anything in the rigging. And you know, I will not speak if there's nothing to speak about, right? So you will not be hearing me talking for 1 hour straight. That's not gonna happen. I will say stuff when stuff is relevant, alright? So I hope you enjoy this video. Let's go. So I'm just trying to get the base movement of the rat going here, and it's just an idle animation, and I'm thinking Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. They are just kind of going back and forth from one leg to another, eager to get into action, right? So it will be a fairly fast idle. And we also need to keep in mind that I'm making a side-scrolling game, so the camera will be far away from the action. So many of the animations need to be exaggerated to some degree for you to be able to see it when you play. If you make too subtle animation, it will just look like the character is just standing completely still. So some animations I need to exaggerate. And this idle animation will just be back and forth and up and down, right? It will have the shape of a rainbow, right? Like a curve that goes up and that starts down, then goes up, and then it ends down, and it will be a loop. Also, I think this bone we're animating right now, the first bone in the chain, the pelvis, I think I could delete that one and then just make the whole body movement on the first bone in the spine, right? The first big one, just below the one I have selected right now. That could be the main controller for the rig, but so I can kind of save one bone, right? So it looks like I'm happy with the pelvis movement now, and has gone on to animating the chest, which will kind of just to make the same motion. It just rotates a little back and forth, and just make it work good with the movement we already have on the pelvis bone. And yeah, now we're getting into the curve editor nightmare. I mean, I've been animating characters for the last 20 years now, and I mean, moving around in these curve editors is I never think it's fun. Right now I'm struggling with everything is shown right now, so I cannot just select a key on the curve I have selected, because all the other keys and curves are lying below, so I'm selecting everything. And I remember in one of the earlier Blender versions there was a setting so you can turn everything off except for the one you have selected, and I just can't find it right now. Maybe they have moved it, maybe they have deleted it, I don't know. So I can hide unselected curves, right? But that's only a one-off. If I want to select a new one, I need to unhide everything again, select a new curve, and then hide unselected again. So I mean, it's not very intuitive right now. And you will see in this video I am struggling a lot with with finding my way around this curve editor. I'm also fairly new in Blender, so everything is not just in muscle memory right now. I'm still figuring out where stuff is. And for the animation of the head, it will basically just be the same as the animation for the chest. It will just rotate a little up and down. And of course trying to follow. See, this looks wrong. Right, I'm doing something wrong here. So just start with as few keys as possible, and if you get something you like, you move on to put more keys in. And I have to be honest, some of these things I kind of trying my way around and end up, you will see that on the tail later on. I have no idea what to do with the tail, so I'm trying different things out, and eventually at some point I will end up with something that looks good, and I will go on from there. But in the beginning, with the experimentation, it's just a lot of trial and error, see what works, what doesn't work. I'm still fumbling around with the curve editor here, and I need to solve this problem because it takes way too much time for me to click around the curve editor to get what I want, and zooming in and finding it. I mean, you can see now I have no idea what's going on. Where's my curve? It's just a flat line. What's going on? I know the animation is there, I just haven't zoomed it in correctly. So, I mean, this is something that could definitely speed up the whole workflow when I animate, if I figure this curve editor out. Just trying to get a good looping animation here on the pelvis bone. See, to get the head to looking down a bit, I needed to move the whole curve, the whole X rotation curve up or down. I mean, Blender is kind of missing a feature where you can kind of adjust the pose of the bones and still keeping the animations underneath. This was very easy to do in 3ds Max. You just turn off the auto key, then move the bones in the position you want. If you wanted to change the pose of the walk, then you just do it without auto key, and it would keep the position and then put the animation on top of that. And that is a great way of doing it. Blender doesn't right now have a way to do this, so you need to move the whole curves, or you need to make an additive animation in the NLA editor, which is a complete nightmare to work with. So yeah, Blender is getting a lot of animation improvements very soon. They already got a lot in this last update, 4.0, and more is coming in the near future, so I'm very much looking forward to that. So now I've started on the arm animation for the sword, and it will be the same as the pelvis, back and forth, a little up and down, not a lot. So it kind of follows the body. The rotation here on the sword is perhaps the most important part on this arm to make it look right. So see, it's going in a round motion. It's too fast. It's too much right now, and it doesn't loop well. But if I make it loop, and if I tone down the rotation amount, it will look great. Again, the curve editor, right? I can't be the only one having problems with this. So this is one curve we need to make loopable. So I'll take the first key and the last key, make them linear, so they kind of go into a perfect loop. They doesn't right now because I need to align the curve. So need to move these 2 points down to the middle. And then it will loop perfectly. I mean, these idle animations are not hard to do, and they're usually very robotic type of movements. So as long as your curves looks great, I think the animation will look great. So now I'm trying to get a little twisting movement in the chest, and you will see me go back and forth to different bones all the time. because now when I've gotten to the arm, I kind of need the chest to move also as I'm moving the arm, right? So you kind of twist the chest, back and forth, and that will also affect the arm. I can't really find my bones here because I'm kind of I haven't tried to customize the bones in Blender yet and make controller points that you can easily grab. Right? I mean, when I've spent a few hours rigging a character, I don't want to spend another few hours. I don't want to spend another few hours trying to make, the controllers look right and all that. I just want to get started on the animation, and then hopefully I can make all these other things later on. I just want to get my character moving as fast as possible so I can kind of see the personality of the character, which will help me later on when I'm redoing stuff. Like the eyes, the ears, the whole face. I need to redo the face. I need to make it so that he can blink with his eyes and all that stuff. And now I'm doing the same with the shield, but instead of a movement going from down, then up, then down, this one will start up, then go down, and then end up again. So it's a curve that kind of turns the other way compared to the pelvis and the sword. We need to get some contrasting movements here. There's a lot of curve editor work right now, but again, it's because I'm working with very robotic-like movements. And I know when I started animating in 3D Max all those years back, I just didn't want to learn how the curve editor worked, because looking at it, it just gave me nightmares. So I was just ignoring the curve editor for as long as possible. Even after when I got my first jobs in the 3D commercials, I was just ignoring the curve editor, and I was trying to fix all the stuff just by adding more keys to the animation. Right? I mean, it's not the right way of doing it, but if you're new to animation, you know how intimidating this curve editor is. And it blows my mind that we're not having smarter ways of dealing with these curve editors. This is it's not a place you want to be in, right? You have 3 movement curves, 3 translation curves, and you have rotation curves and scale curves, and that's just for one bone, right? And if you have a character with 50 bones in it, then that's a shit ton of curves you need to go in and maintain and make look good, and I mean, no one has time for that. But there's no way around it. If you want to get good at animation, you need to learn how the curve editor works, at least to some degree, at least to the degree that I know how it works, right? And I don't know anything. I'm not using any of these fancy filters or anything. I'm just moving the keys around in the curve editor. See, now we get some pretty good movements on the arms. You can see the shield is moving in the opposite direction. In the opposite direction of the weapon, right? And that's what we want. We don't want everything to move along with the body. We need something to move the opposite way. And it fits very well with the rotation of the chest, right? When you rotate, when you twist the chest, one shoulder will go forward, one shoulder will go back, right? So the weapon shoulder will go forward with the chest, and the shield shoulder will go back with the chest. So we need to kind of respect that movement, and so that's why these the shield and the weapon is moving opposite of each other, and it looks good. It brings balance to the animation. So now I've started on the tail, and I can tell you guys this is not an easy thing to do. You know, you want the tail to move in a smooth, nice, curvy way, right? And yeah, you'll see me struggling with this until I get something that looks alright. I'm never really 100% satisfied with the tail animation, and I am considering doing something with noise modifiers instead, see if I can get that to work. But right now you will see me use a technique I'm using all the time, right? I'm setting keys in the beginning, in the end, and in the middle. That is 3 keys for the, you know, for poses when the tails are in each side, right? Okay, that doesn't make any sense because I'm doing it different now. What I'm trying to say here is, when you're doing a movement like this where the tail is going left and right, then you set keyframes when the tail are furthest to the left, then you set a keyframe when the tail is furthest to the right. And then in between these 2 frames you will do the rotation, the curving of the tail. And then it will look like the tail is kind of, you know, swaying. It should make a little more sense in a few minutes. See, I'm setting keys in the left position and in the right position. So that's, I mean, simple as that, right? And then I do the same for the rest of these bones. Don't rotate it, just set keys in the left and in the right position. And then you go in between these keys, and that is where you do the rotation. And you need to rotate opposite of the way the tail is moving. See, and when you do this, you get these super smooth, nice, curvy animations. Doesn't loop right now as it should, but you know what I mean. And it's as simple as that. Set key points furthest to the left, furthest to the right, then in between you rotate it the opposite of the way it's moving. And then you go in, make the curve on each bone loop perfectly, and then you get some really good looking movements. And I do this technique very often. Yeah, we need some up and down movement also for the tail. And this thing is that I'm kind of getting it right. In this moment we're watching right now, it kind of looks like the final tail movement. but I kind of wanted to have the tail move a little more randomly, like and not just like a clock going back and forth. So I was trying to get some more movement into it, so it looks like the tail also have a kind of a mind of its own, and not just doing a looping animation. So this is this looks like the final animation, but I'm going to fuck it up right now and try all kinds of different stuff to see if I can get it better, and then I'll end up back with this animation in the end. So yeah, it is what it is. Another thing is that I actually also want to make the tail much longer than it is right now. This is actually not a very long rat tail. I mean, rats have pretty long tails, right? And even though tails are and tentacles are a bit to animate, I still want a longer tail so I can kind of do more with it. Because you know, the tail of an animal is part of the personality it has. You can get a lot of personality into the character just by animating the tail, right? You can see if he's happy, if he's excited, if he's angry, you know, all that you can tell just by looking at the tail. So I want a longer tail, maybe even so long that he can use it for attacking the hero character in my game. That would be awesome. And again, guys, I have many years of experience in animating characters, and I still end up experimenting and trying out a lot of different stuff. Like with this tail, there's a lot of trial and error going into this, and sometimes you just magically end up with a good looking result. Not really, you know, kind of on purpose, but you know, sometimes magic just happens and it clicks, and you will just keep that animation, right? So I'm doing a lot of trial and error on this tail. See, from the top view it looks awesome, from the side view it doesn't. So I'm just working on the up and down animation right now, because the side animation is fine. And when I get to something I like with the tail, then in the end I need to go in and offset all the bones in the chain to be delayed more and more from each other, which will give us this even more nice swirly kind of motion. But that is the last thing you do, because it's impossible to make changes to the tail animation once you have offset all 10 bones, or how many bones? 8 bones. So first get something you like, where all bones are moving at the same time, and then when it looks good to you, then you offset all the bones down the chain. I actually think I don't do this for this animation. I can't remember, it's been a while since I made it, so we'll just have to wait and see. And as you can see on the model, guys, the builds, the skinning of the builds are all messed up, right? I cannot get this skinning right. I don't know how people skin their characters. It's just something I've never learned to do properly. It's always a mess, and it's always a nightmare to work with. So many of my characters will have weird skinning errors, like the build on this one. I will try and fix it sometimes, but usually end up making it worse. So that's that. I think right now I'm just trying to fix the looping, because the looping is broken right now because of the linear keys in the start and in the end. Again, fumbling around in the curve editor. There must be better ways of doing this, but and I'll just make them into auto clamped. See, now the looping is fixed, but the tail is kind of going in circles. If you look at the tip of the tail, from the top it looks great, but it's kind of going around in circles, which is not really awesome. So I need a way to make the tail go up and down without it going into a circle. And I think this is one of the reasons why it is so difficult to make animation tutorials, because a lot of it is things that you end up with kind of randomly sometimes. So there's no step by step, do this, do this, do this, because it's all an iterative process. I mean, you can't have a tutorial where he's saying and then you need to do this for the tail. No, wait a minute, let's try something else. Oh, that doesn't work, let's try something else. Okay, delete all that, let's do the tail from the beginning. I mean, you cannot have a tutorial like that. You'll just super confuse the viewer, right? And you will sound like you have no idea what you're doing. But that's how it is with animation. That you need to try things out to see if it works. Maybe it works for one character, maybe it doesn't work for another character, because you have a kind of a different personality, and then you need to do the idle in a different way. I think right now I'm trying to do the part where I'm offsetting the Z-axis on these bones from each other. I think that's what I'm doing. Yeah, so I deselect the first bone and then move the rest to the right, which means that their movement will be delayed. And then I deselect the next Z rotation on the next bone, and then offset the rest of the bones, and I do that all the way down the chain, which is supposed to give me that even more nice, smooth, curvy movement. But as you can see, that didn't work. That just exaggerated the rotation of the tail. So I mean, that's just back to square one again, right? That didn't work, even though it should work. This technique should work, and I don't know why it doesn't work on this tail. I have done the exact same on a tentacle animation, by offsetting each bone a little, you will get this nice curvy. I will put an animation in the video right now so you can see what I'm talking about. So this movement you see on the tentacle right now should be the same movement I should get on the tail by delaying each bone down in the chain more than the next. And for some reason it didn't work, and I don't know why. So that's what I'm talking about, trial and error here. So maybe I offset it too much, maybe I offset it too little. It all depends on also the speed of the movement. If it moves really fast, you don't need to offset it very much to get the swirly motion. So the tail is definitely a part of this animation that I need to go back and improve upon. And I have been thinking about doing it with the noise modifier for the curves, just like I did on this tentacle. The tentacle here is using noise modifiers, and then each bone has been offset. The problem with noise modifiers is that I don't have any real control of which way the bones will be moving around. So it's just, close your eyes, hoping that you get an awesome movement. If not, try a new seed, see if that gets better. But you kind of lose all control of the tail. But again, a tail is a nightmare to work with, so it might be a good fast solution if it looks good enough. So I'm still fiddling around with offsetting the bones in the tail. Looks like I'm doing the exact same thing again. This is better. Didn't really give me the more curvy animation that I was searching for, but I think at this point in the video I kind of just want to close off the tail and get on with animation. I think actually the tail is the last thing in this animation, because I think it already looks good. So now I'm trying to offset it even more to try and get that curvy motion. And this is still only for the C rotation, right? The up and down movement. The left and right is staying as it has always been. See, I got rid of the circular motion of the tail end, so that is good. So now it kind of just goes up and down on each side, which I think is super fine for this animation. All the flickering you're seeing on the meshes is not because of overlap, it's because the Blender world scale has been set to 0.01, so the character is super small, and that gives a lot of problems with the viewports. But it's a thing I need to do to get the character to import correctly into Unreal, otherwise he will be scaled up 100%. And I mean, that gives a lot of other problems in Unreal. So the world scale in Blender is off. Now I'm just looking at the character in a different lighting setup. That's sometimes a good thing to do. Maybe maybe it will look a little different in a different lighting scenario. So check different render sometimes. I think this is a really good looking idle animation. And it's definitely good enough to get into the game now. So now I'm just polishing stuff. I mean, guys, I don't know how much you get out of a video like this. Just watching me randomly pulling bones and curves and trying to explain what's going on here. But I kind of in general want to try and get more videos out to you guys of behind the scenes stuff like this. I will be making a lot of animation on this character, so I mean, maybe just record it and make more videos like this. Maybe try and make a video where I'm talking in real time while I am animating, which is kind of difficult for me to do, but I mean, could try it. But I actually think that the animation is finished for now. I think there's a few small things I did after I stopped recording, like putting a little movement into the mouth, like opening the mouth a little and have it go up and down just a little. And then the leg that goes furthest back, I animated the foot so it kind of lift the heel up a little. And set it down again on this idle animation. So, but it's nothing major. So yeah, I think that is it, guys. Polishing stuff. But he looks ready, right? Looks like he wants to chop someone's head off anytime now. Just put a hero in front of him and he will go nuts. The front view I'm not too happy about. The face doesn't look right in front view. His little, the pose is not that great in the front view. But again, it's a side scroller I'm creating, so it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, that's it, guys. I think this is it. So thank you very much for watching and see you next time.